from supplying powerful weapons to stabbing Ukraine behind their back. Since the beginning of the Ukraine war, the U.S. has been the biggest supporter in defending Ukraine against Russia, spending more than $75 billion of its money in providing military, humanitarian, and financial support to the war-hit country.
Now, President Zelensky spoke to us today and repeated his plea for the West to provide Ukraine with fighter jets to help carry on the fight back against Vladimir Putin's invading forces. So far, Russia, with its emphasis on ground troops and the use of missiles and artillery bombardments, has failed to stamp its superiority in the air over Ukraine. But as Emma discovered, Ukraine's own aerial assets on the front line rely heavily on older weapons like its Soviet-era battle helicopters.
Wearing shackles and a prison uniform, the accused of the leaked documents, Jack Teixeira, stood proudly in front of the federal judge. Within a few minutes of his presence, his dad, sitting in the courtroom, shouts, "Love you, Jack." And Jack replied, "You too, Dad." This proud nature of the accused and his family expresses a different picture of the U.S. military they never want to show to the world. After his arrest, a close friend of Jack explained how Jack was hurt after witnessing U.S. intelligence conducting illegal and unauthorized investigations of different world leaders.
He had disagreed with several occasions, such as Waco and Ruby Ridge, and thought that he is not a Russian operative, he is not a Ukrainian operative. I'll go as far to say he's not even on the east side of the world. He was a young, charismatic man who loved nature, God.
Despite being recently promoted to airman first-class rank, Jack could not control himself when he read the documents and realized how U.S. CIA was using signal intelligence to spy on every movement of Ukraine President Zelensky. His heartbeat ran faster when he noticed how the U.S. was pressuring Israel and South Korea to provide one of the finest weapons in support of Ukraine. For example, it forced Israel to supply the rarest Iron Dome air defense system that was created and sold by Israel alone. But Israel is very selective about this weapon because they need to ensure they have a sufficient backup to protect their citizens against constant missile attacks from this Gaza Strip, a region dominated by Palestinians that is well known for border conflicts with Israel. So, Israel rejected the U.S.-imposed pressure. In February this year, Ukraine went through a massive setback that was not covered in any news platforms we know. It happened during the Battle of Bakhmut, a city located on the eastern side of Ukraine. As Ukrainian soldiers were heavily fighting the Russian army, they failed to check their surroundings. Within the next few minutes, enormous Russian soldiers cornered hundreds of Ukraine soldiers from every angle, leaving no option for them to escape. The situation became so intense that Ukraine soldiers lost the will to fight back. However, it was only after Ukraine's director of military intelligence, Krylo Budanov, called the Kraken Regiment, one of the most powerful soldiers of their army, to save the city from Russians. Luckily, the elite force managed to push back the Russians, but the cost of this win took a massive toll on their strength, leaving more Ukraine casualties than imagined. This entire incident was covered in this leaked document dated February 28th. Another gigantic blow was witnessed when other documents talked about the number of soldiers lost on both sides. If we rewind back to well-known news outlets, they openly claimed that since the war began, Russian soldiers have been dying in record numbers. Forbes claimed 270,000 Russian deaths, while Ukraine's military claimed 137,000 deaths. But the leaked documents give heart-stopping data no one would believe. According to the document, more than 17,000 Russian soldiers have been killed. And if we look at the Ukrainian side, the death toll of the courageous fighters has crossed more than 71,000, which is more than 4 times the number of Russian soldiers. Luckily, the documents created massive hope when they revealed that special military forces from top countries have been deployed to guide and support the Ukrainian army. One of the most highly skilled soldiers deployed is from U.S. Special Forces, also known as Green Berets that we often see in the movies wearing this headgear. From special different languages to dealing with weapons of mass destruction, the word Green Beret is more than enough to bring chills to the soul of the enemy country. They were also responsible for taking care of the Afghanistan War, Korean War, and major wars U.S. was involved in. And in Ukraine, their contribution towards discovering undetected landmines is making Russians jealous. But as appealing and seductive as it looks from a distance, the presence of these special forces is not more than a tiny percentage of its entire army. For example, only 14 of 15,000 Green Berets are deployed in Ukraine, and most of them are responsible for overlooking the supply of U.S. arms to Ukraine or escorting Ukrainian VIPs like politicians and other leaders to a safer location. If we look at reports published by the media, they claim how Green Beret changed the war scenario in favor of Ukraine. But no one talked about the number of these soldiers present there. Moreover, the percentage of these special forces is the same as other countries that are supporting Ukraine. Specifically speaking, Latvia has deployed 17 soldiers, France has deployed 15, and the Netherlands has 1. Despite being one of the smallest countries in the world, the UK is the only country that has deployed the maximum number of special forces, which is 50 out of their 2,000 men. And Russia seems to be irritated by this action from the UK. According to documents, Russian fighter jets several times attempted to shoot down this British surveillance plane hovering off the coast of Crimea that was avoiding any contact with Russian territory. As this plane is responsible for guiding the British Special Forces, Russia is constantly trying to scare the UK by intentionally missing the shot. Had it been hit, then it could have resulted in direct violation of the North Atlantic Treaty, which enables U.S. and NATO allies to attack any country that plays with their self-defense. Now, many U.S. officials are claiming that some parts of these documents have been modified to create fear in the eyes of Ukrainian soldiers. But the sudden disappearance of all these documents on the internet, and U.S. officials openly expressing deep concern about them, proves that these documents are part of a bigger picture. A few months back, Ukraine President Zelensky was witnessed requesting top countries for more weapons. And the focus of this meeting was not on tanks, artillery, or Humvees. The focus was on the supply of more air defense weapons to stop Russia from damaging entire cities in seconds. This request from Ukraine's president might look important to many leaders, but the ugly truth is, this might be the last time we could see Ukraine standing against Russia. Because since the beginning of this war, Ukraine has been heavily dependent on air defense weapons like the S-300 and Buck missile system. However, the leaked documents gave a clear warning that as of May this year, Ukraine could run out of these air defense weapons that have been protecting their air all this time. This proves why President Zelensky was constantly requesting world leaders to provide more air defense weapons. Moreover, U.S.'s incredible ability to spy on other countries gave a hint about where exactly the future of the Ukraine war is heading. To begin with what U.S. spies have reported in the documents, I want to show you the picture of this man, Antonio Guterres, the current General Secretary of one of the most trusted organizations in the world, the United Nations. As a General Secretary, this man is responsible for holding negotiations and maintaining peace between the countries. But according to U.S. spies, he is accused of being overtly soft in favor of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Have a look at his comments yourself when he indirectly taunted Ukraine on the level of suffering it could face from fighting back against Russia.
If it doesn't stop, a level of sufferings Europe has not known since at least the volcanic crisis.
Even countries that were refusing to support either country in the war are found to have been secretly supporting Russia behind their backs. In one situation, the U.S. spies heard Russian spies bragging about a powerful deal sealed between Russia and Abu Dhabi, where Abu Dhabi has agreed to support Russia against U.S. and U.K. Moving on to Turkey, Putin's ruthless private army called the Wagner Group has struck a deal with Turkey to buy more weapons against Ukraine. And President of Mali, Assimi Goïta, has also agreed to acquire weapons from Turkey on Wagner's behalf. Not to forget, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi was heard chattering with senior military officials about the production and shipment of 40,000 rockets for Russia. As President Abdel wanted to avoid any problems with the Western countries, he chose to keep this entire process top secret. He even informed all his workers that these rockets were being made for the Egyptian army. Of course, the Egyptian officials have now rejected these allegations. But thanks to this 21-year-old U.S. airman who has helped us identify the actual truth about the war. So, what are your views about the leaked documents? Do you think, through these documents, the U.S. has infiltrated the freedom of its allies? Tell us in the comments section below. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the like button if you like this video. Thank you so much for watching.